Hello, friends. Well, if you're following along with The Chosen, you know that we are halfway through season 3. And since so many of you checked out my prediction video for season 3, that it became my second most watched video on YouTube, behind only a Star Wars video I made 8 years ago from when I found the Rebel base in Guatemala. It's a whole thing. You can go look it up if you're a Star Wars fan too. Anyway, since so many of you checked out my prediction video, I thought I would do a little mid-season check-in, and we'll see which predictions I got right, which predictions I got wrong, and what might still be to come in season 3.
And pray for those who persecute you. Someone touched me. If you were...
Okay, so someone touched me. So we're getting the healing of the hemorrhaging woman in season 3. It certainly seems like it. Correct. Or we actually haven't seen the healing of the hemorrhaging woman, but we have met the hemorrhaging woman in episode 4. I think we're going to get her healing in episode 5. So first prediction, correct. I'm really interested in seeing how that turns out because, you know, they love to do the backstory of the characters. Like, what is the backstory of the hemorrhaging woman? What are they going to show us about her? And there was an actress they were showing us fairly early on in the filming of season 3. And I'm wondering now if that's the hemorrhaging woman, because they're not showing her at all in the trailer. And they showed her during the filming, but then wouldn't tell us what she was doing. So I'm wondering if maybe she's the hemorrhaging woman. Incorrect. That actress I was referring to actually ended up playing the part of Judas's sister. So that prediction was wrong. I had no idea we were meeting Judas's sister. I had no idea Judas had a sister, and that's just an extra character that they made up. I hope they bring her back. It'd be interesting to see what else happens with her. She could also be Martha or Mary, because we know Lazarus comes up in season 3. They've already told us that. So she didn't end up being Martha or Mary either. Oops, both of those wrong. Martha and Mary have to come into play here sometime too, but I'm really interested in seeing how they build in the whole character of the hemorrhaging woman.
Are really the one who is to come, or should we look for someone else?
Those guys were asking, are you the one to come, or should we be waiting for somebody else? That's a question from John the Baptist, right? If we remember in scripture that John said we should ask you. And then we know that John the Baptist is in jail. I think in season 3, probably fairly early on in season 3, we are getting the beheading of John the Baptist. So we haven't seen it yet. We're halfway through season 3. I thought it would happen for sure in episode 1 or 2, or maybe episode 3 or 4. We have not seen the beheading of John the Baptist yet. So far that prediction is wrong. I still think it's got to happen sometime during the season. I can't imagine Dallas can leave him around too much longer, or he's really getting off from the timeline that's in the Gospels. It's possible to keep him around just because people like John the Baptist, but John the Baptist, if we're keeping it all with the timeline, he has to pass fairly early in Jesus's ministry, and we're getting fairly far along already. So we've also seen, not in this trailer, but in other preview things that they've done as they've been filming, we've seen scenes of Jesus and his mother and Lazarus in front of a tomb, the giant stone. And I think that's actually John the Baptist. Some people have predicted that they're at the gravesite of St. Joseph. I think it's John the Baptist. And it's got to happen soon, because I know okay, I was wrong on this prediction as well. Now, I originally thought the tomb was John the Baptist. Now, after I saw episodes 1 and 2, and then we knew that episode 3 was going to be Jesus going home to Nazareth, then I did change my prediction. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw that I did a little poll asking people whose tomb they thought it was. A lot of people still thought it was Lazarus. I'm like, no, we're meeting Lazarus in this episode. He's not dying in this episode. And so if you follow along on Instagram, my new prediction was correct, that it was Joseph, because obviously he's going home to Nazareth. That's whose tomb he's going to see. So my original prediction was wrong. My revised prediction on Instagram was correct. It ended up being Joseph's tomb. not Lazarus and not John the Baptist.
Don't feel any different?
I don't need you to feel anything to do great things.
I think this sending out scene is going to be either the end of episode 1 or episode 2. I could see it being the end of episode 2 because that would be a great way to finish the theatrical release. Correct. I was correct on this one. The sending out of the apostles 2 by 2 was the end of season 3, episode 2. And in fact, I even called the last shot, but that happened a little bit later on in this prediction video. So we'll come back to that. Right? Take episodes 1 and 2 to get the disciples ready. And then at the end of episode 2 is that like dinner scene. It looks like Jesus is having dinner with them all around the table, and then he's going to send them out.
What is stirring in your hearts? In the middle of such division and unrest, is Father God being revealed to you?
Okay, this may be the most out of the blue prediction I make, but we know that something's happening with Simon and Eden in season 3. There's been lots of hints about that, and it could just be that they're having difficulty as a couple while being part of Jesus's ministry, because they're apart a good amount of the time, and that can cause tension and difficulty. I also had a thought that maybe Eden suffers a miscarriage. And okay, this hasn't happened yet, but I still think it's a very real possibility. There has already been an email warning that has gone out about the beginning of episode 5, that it has some mature content. And they hinted at the hemorrhaging woman and stuff like that. But I actually think it might have to do with a miscarriage. Eden has not been touching her husband, Simon. And there's obviously tension between them. I think maybe she even had a miscarriage while Simon was out, when the apostles went out 2 by 2. And that's what she wanted to talk about with him when he came back. But he was so tired and everything, they never had that conversation. And now it's gotten awkward. And she doesn't know how to tell them she lost a baby. And I still think this scene here could be her going through a ritual cleansing after losing a child. So I still think it's a very real possibility that Eden had a miscarriage. And hopefully the two of them are going to have a good conversation coming up here soon, because I think they've got a lot to discuss. Right back here. This shot of Jordan Walker, who plays little James so beautifully. He's obviously having a moment. And I know they told us that somewhere in season 3, little James is going to talk with Jesus about why he has a limp and Jesus hasn't healed him. So it looks like we might get that in episodes 1 and 2, and that's going to be gut-wrenching as well, I think. We did indeed get that conversation in episode 2, and it was indeed gut-wrenching. Probably the most impactful scene of that theatrical release.
You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you.
Okay, I'm still debating whether or not I think Jesus is going to send them out 2 by 2 at the end of episode 1 or episode 2, but I really think it has to happen before this theatrical release ends. And watching those scenes, it looks like the apostles are still alone and not in 2. So I'm wondering if we get the feeding, or not the feeding of the 5,000. We know that's the end of this season. If we get the Sermon on the Mount, and then for a time, Jesus sends them all home for a bit to rest. And that's some of what we're seeing there. All of them going back, like Matthew going back to his family, because we know he has a confrontation with his parents again. They've shown some of that. And Andrew takes time to go talk to John the Baptist while they have a little time off. And then they come back together for Jesus to commission them out to go 2 by 2. And that could be a great place to end episode 2 and the theatrical release. And again, here's John the Baptist and Andrew. I really think we're going to see the beheading. I mean, I don't know that he'll actually show it, but I think the beheading of John the Baptist is going to happen probably in these first 2 episodes. Okay, so I completely nailed the general story structure the first 2 episodes. right? We had the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus sent them home. We had all those scenes with them at their homes and Matthew going back to his parents. And then in episode 2, we had Jesus sending them out 2 by 2 and ending with that, getting ready to send them out. So I completely nailed the story structure of episodes 1 and 2. Wrong though, still wrong on the messaging of John the Baptist.
The Lord make his face shine upon you, be gracious to you.
What's Mary wiping tears from? Maybe Andrew's coming to tell her that John has been beheaded. I was wrong. I was totally wrong. And somebody in the comments, and I'm afraid I don't remember the person's name right now, but somebody in the comments nailed it. Somebody in the comments said, oh, he's coming to apologize for the things he said to her in season 2. So that was you. Kudos. You predicted that one correctly, and I predicted it wrong.
I've chosen you 12 as my apostle.
This could totally be the ending shot of the episode of that season 2 right here. That could be the closing shot of Jesus getting ready to send them off. Nailed it. Nailed it. That is the very last shot. I said season 2. I meant episode 2. You all know what I'm talking about. The theatrical release. I thought that could be the end of the theatrical release. It was. And when we got to that scene in the movie theater, this is it. This is it. Credits are going to roll. And sure enough, the credits rolled right after this. I was like, nailed that prediction at least. Got some others wrong, but nailed this one. Okay, those are my predictions from the original trailer. So they did a little teaser for episode 5. So let's take a look at that. See if I've got any new predictions to make.
My daughter, Neely, she's dying. Take me to him. You know of whom I speak. I need him now.
It didn't work, by the way.
What?
Telling her she was right.
Did you mean it?
I don't even know what I did. How could I mean it?
He's back.
We need to come back, I promise. I promise we'll be back. Give us some space.
Clearly, we're getting the healing of Jairus's daughter. Also, I hate to admit it, but when I first heard Jairus's name in the movie theater, it did not click with me. I think I needed it written out. I'm such a visual learner. Oh, you mean Jairus? Oh, the guy with the daughter. Okay. So I think we're getting that. The hemorrhaging woman, happens on the way to Jesus, getting to Jairus's daughter. So I think we're going to get that. I hope we get a resolution to the whole Simon and Eden thing coming up. And then I just wanted to point out, did you see the guy in the background who seems to be stalking? I think there's a zealot, right, who's stalking Simon Z because he left the zealots. So that'll be interesting to see. Is he still just going to be stalking him in episode 5? Maybe that'll come to a head in episode 6 or 7. 8's supposed to be the feeding of the 5,000. So this is only a teaser for episode 5. So this should all be episode 5 scenes. So maybe that guy's still just stalking Simon Z for right now. Please, just a moment. Jesus Christ.
Get back, everyone!
Who touched me?
All right, well, that's it for the teaser. I'm not sure I got any really new predictions for what's coming up. I feel like I'm pretty clear on what's going to happen in episode 5. Hemorrhaging woman, Jairus's daughter, maybe clearing up the Simon and Eden conflict. Maybe that's going to be prolonged a bit. Don't know what's happening in episodes 6 and 7, so I look forward to being surprised by those. And then, of course, we know the season ends with the feeding of the 5,000, so I'm looking forward to that. I did already make a prediction about how they're going to do the whole miracle thing. If you saw that in my original prediction video, I think they're just going to put the lids on the baskets, and when they lift the lids off, they're going to be filled then with fish and bread. Put one fish in, put on the lid, get a whole basket full of fish. I think it's going to be pretty low budget miracle going on here. No special effects really needed. Well, that's it for my mid-season check-in. Let me know what you think. Do you have any predictions about what else is going to happen in season 3? let me know what your thoughts are. I would love to hear what you're thinking. Sometimes you guys have much better predictions than I have. So maybe we'll do a little check-in again when the season wraps up. And I hope you have fun time watching the second half of season 3 of The Chosen.